At the beginning of this movie, we learn that some people are born legends, as the music they make transcends beyond the restraints of life and death, allowing spirits from the past and future to show up. Known as the Creots in ancient West Africa, these people can bring healing to the communities, but their music can also attract evil entities. As the movie goes on, we see Sammy Moore arrive at a church in Clarksdale, Mississippi in 1932. As he walks in with a broken guitar in his hand, the crowd gasps in horror at the claw marks on his face. His father, Pastor Jedediah, embraces him, asking him to repent to God and turn away from music, as it leads to evil. Sammy holds on to the remains of his guitar and has a flashback of how he ended up with the claw marks. The scene jumps back to a day earlier, where we see Sammy's cousins, the identical twins Smoke and Stack, who seem to be waiting for someone. The twins served in World War I, and they have recently returned to Clarksdale from Chicago after stealing money from a mob they used to work for. Soon after, a white guy named Hogwood shows up in his car and sells his old lumber mill to the twins for a handsome amount. As it happens, the twins intend to open a juke joint for the local black community. Before parting, the twins warn him to keep his men away from their mill, or they'd end up shooting them. Once Hogwood leaves, Smoke and Stack head over to the church to pick up Sammy, who's finished all the chores of the week and wants some downtime. His father disapproves, stating that music is supernatural, but the boys ignore him and speed away. Together, they come to a secret location by the road where they have stashed a truck with lots of alcohol for their opening night. Suddenly, they notice a snake inside, but Smoke kills it before it can attack them. Smoke suggests postponing the opening to the upcoming weekend, but Stack insists that they are ready and have waited long enough for such a place. Since someone needs to guard the truck, Smoke decides to stay back while Stack and Sammy leave to set up the juke joint. A few moments pass by, and Smoke drives the truck to a nearby town to meet some old friends. As he parks the truck, he notices a girl nearby. He asks her to keep an eye on the truck and honk if anyone lurks near the vehicle for more than 10 seconds. For which he will pay her. She accepts, and Smoke walks into a shop to meet his old friend, Bo Chow. While they talk about a sign and other supplies for the juke joint, suddenly, Smoke is alarmed by his truck's horn. He rushes outside to see two men stealing alcohol from his truck. Without hesitation, he shoots one of the men, while the other one recognizes Smoke and apologizes, but Smoke still shoots him in the leg. Since the townspeople respect the twin brothers, no one bats an eye, but Smoke still leaves some cash with Bo Chow to deal with the men he just shot. He convinces Grace, Bo Chow's wife, to make a sign for his sawmill, pays her $14, and then leaves. On the contrary, Stack and Sammy stop at the railway station to find Delta Slim, a known blues musician. Stack offers Delta Slim a chance to sing at their club, but he initially declines. However, Stack convinces him by offering a bottle of Irish beer that will be served there, and Delta Slim finally agrees. Together, Delta and Sammy play some tunes that attract a crowd, and Stack invites them all to the juke joint. Just then, they run into Mary, Stack's ex-girlfriend, whom he abandoned when he left for Chicago. She is upset that she didn't see Smoke or Stack at her mother's funeral the day before. Meanwhile, Sammy invites Pearline, a married young woman, to the club's grand opening. On the way back, Stack notices his old friend Cornbread and his wife Therese working in a cotton field. Stack offers him a bouncer job at the juke joint and drives off. The movie continues, and Smoke goes to visit his estranged wife Annie. He offers money to help, but Annie refuses, as she cannot accept blood money. She claims it's her voodoo practices that kept the twins safe in Chicago. But Smoke dismisses her, reminding her that no voodoo kept their infant daughter from dying. They talk about their feelings, end up making love, and Smoke hires her as a cook for the juke joint. In the next scene, a wounded Irishman, Remick, shows up at the doorstep of Bert and Joan, begging them to let him in. He offers them gold to protect him from Choctaw hunters. The couple agrees, and when Choctaw men arrive, Joan disregards their warning that the man she sheltered is dangerous. When the Choctaw men notice that the sun is about to set, they leave. Joan returns inside, but she is shocked to realize that the Choctaw were right. As it happens, Remick is a vampire, and he has already turned Bert into one. As night falls, the twins open the juke club, and a large number of people show up, including Mary, because her mother was black. Smoke gets upset when he notices Stack and Annie waving off the entry fee, but the duo reminds him that the juke joint is supposed to be a place where the local black community could unwind and celebrate after a long day working in the cotton fields. Stack then asks Sammy to sing, and his voice entrances the entire crowd. His soulful voice attracts spirits, and the crowd grows as spirits of black musicians from the past and future join the grand celebration. Sammy keeps singing, and it's almost as if the building is on fire with passion while everyone dances. This attracts Remick, Joan, and Bert, who pose as traveling musicians and ask to enter the juke joint. Remick even offers to pay the entry fee, but Smoke refuses, as he senses something's wrong. Since Mary knows that the twins need money, she decides to talk to the traveling musicians, who hand her gold coins. Suddenly, Remick's eyes flash red and he starts drooling, which alarms Mary. She threatens them with her gun and begins to leave, but Remick attacks her, turning her into a vampire. In the next scene, Cornbread leaves Delta in charge of security to attend to Nature's call, but Bert and Joan torture him until he is bitten and turned. Inside the juke joint, Sammy takes Pearline to an empty room and gratifies her. Meanwhile, Mary returns to the building, and she reignites Stack's feelings for her, and they start making love. On the other hand, two men in the crowd get into a fight over loaded dice. Smoke handles the men and asks Sammy to get Stack, but he is uncomfortable interrupting him. Frustrated, Smoke goes up, only to find Mary biting into Stack's neck. Smoke instantly shoots Mary, but the bullets do not harm her, and she runs outside after swearing to kill everyone. Stack bleeds out, while everyone watches. Unable to save his brother, Smoke sends the guests back home, along with Delta's help. With just Smoke, Sammy, Pearline, Annie, and Grace inside, the group notices Cornbread asking to be let in. Annie notices something different about him, so she asks him to leave, but Cornbread demands his wages. When Smoke extends his hand to pay him, Cornbread tries to bite him. Luckily, Smoke shoots him in the face, saving himself. Annie realizes that these are vampires. Suddenly, the group hears Stack from upstairs, asking Smoke to open the door. Before Smoke can help him, Stack breaks through the door with supernatural strength, since he has become a vampire too. Before he attacks, Annie throws pickled garlic juice in Stack's face, so he runs outside in anguish. Annie asks the group to grab any silver or wooden object, because that is the only thing that kills a vampire. Outside the building, Remick and the vampires start dancing and singing, while they turn the guests into vampires too. Being led by Remick, Mary, Stack, Bert, and Joan, the vampires surround the mill. Remick reveals that Hogwood set the twins up, being the Grand Dragon of the KKK. He had sent his nephew Bert and his wife Joan to kill the twins and everyone at the juke joint. Stack testifies that it is the truth since he saw those memories after he turned. Remick further adds that he doesn't care about the racist clan, and all he wants is Sammy, so he can use his music to summon his long-gone community. Remick offers the group to become vampires and enjoy immortality, but they refuse. Bo and Remick threaten Grace that they will kill her daughter, so the group prepares to fight the vampires by gathering stakes and loading guns with silver bullets. Furiously, Grace yells at the vampires to come inside, which is all they need to attack. With that, she attacks Bo and kills him with a blazing stake. Slim tries to lure the vampires away into a trap, but ends up dying. The vampires outnumber the humans, and Pearline begs Sammy to escape when she is bitten. When Annie gets wounded, she begs Smoke to stake her, since she does not want to become a vampire. Seeing this horrifying scene, Stack and Mary are devastated, and Mary flees. While Stack and Smoke engage in a gruesome fight, Sammy tries to run away, but Remick smacks him hard, leaving those marks on his face. However, Sammy manages to grab his guitar and strikes Remming's skull with the silver piece. Just then, Smoke appears out of nowhere and stakes Remming. Simultaneously, the sun comes up, and Remming and all the other vampires burn to their deaths. Since Remming told Smoke about Clan's plan to attack the mill at dawn, Smoke urges Sammy to leave, while he stays back to fight Hogwood and his men. When the clansmen arrive, the heavily armed Smoke shoots at them mercilessly, not stopping until he kills them all, including Hogwood, but Smoke is also fatally wounded. As he bleeds to his death, Smoke sees the spirit of Annie and their daughter. Meanwhile, the distraught Sammy reaches his father's church, who asks him to seek salvation and turn away from music, but Sammy leaves along with his guitar. 60 years go by, and an elderly Sammy, a famous blues musician in Chicago, is visited by the immortal Stack and Mary. Stack tells him that Smoke spared his life on the condition that Stack would keep Sammy safe. They offer him immortality, but he refuses and sings a song on their request. In the end, he reminisces that before the sun went down on that horrifying night many years ago, that day was the best day of his life. And Stack agrees, since that was the last time he saw smoke in the sun. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our recap. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.